Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this great planet. As Nancy Thames is going to join us, we're talking ET encounters and UFO disclosure with her. Dirty Filth is here as well for another spooky night of radio. And we love it. We love that you are here joining us to kick off a brand new week. And let's say hello to Race Fan in the gold medal position, SJ with a silver, Tim Mothman and his goatee with a nice bronze medal tonight. SJ, how you doing? And Michael Morris. Paulie Rotterman, how you doing? My new Facebook Fred right there. Chris 716, Robert Lamoth, Kitty Cattywhack, nice to see you all. Hi, Brown Dwarf, Les Paul Holland, strumming away. Good to see you. Kurt M., thank you for coming on in. Laura Lobbs and Eternity Eternal, thank you for both for coming on in. Vanessa is here. Vanessa will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Hello, Sandra Kincaid. Thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call tonight. Human Carl is here, a great veteran of the United States Air Force. Human Carl, we love you. And thank you for your service. All right, continuing on. The Andromedan, welcome to SOR Chat. And who's next on our list? Cosmic Joe, Thomas Rock. Thank you for joining us as we say hello next to Crystal J and Skip DeMalou. How are you? Good morning to you, Skip. Cosmic Joe, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight and this week. We very much appreciate your love and support of SOR. UFO Lake Group, how are you? Thank you for coming on in. Little Cam over on Twitch. He's just warmed up by doing 1,682 jumping jacks in 3 minutes, 45 seconds. 3 minutes, 45 seconds. He's warm. All right. Lisa Smith, how are you? Lisa Smith will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Rugged Source, Purple-Haired Pixie Lara, Richard Elmore, Debbie Nickerson, thank you all for coming on in tonight. Hello there, Deanna Ann. How are you? Christine Lynn, good to see you, my friend, as we continue on with roll call here. Who's next? Oh, Cherry Pepsi, son of a gun. You and your Cherry Pepsi. Yeah. What about your piano key bow tie and necktie that you invented? Here we go again. Piano key neckties. Zip up, of course, not tied. Zip up in leather, white and black. And B, what's happening? Thank you for coming on in. Ozzy, Noble Patrick, and Lightwalkers. Good to see you guys. As we scroll on down, let's say hello next to Phineas over on X. Mama Susan, how are you? Nina Williams, thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call tonight. Chatbot Marco, good to see you. And who's next on our list here? Let's just scroll on down. I think we're caught up so far. I think we are caught up. I'm going to do something interesting here in hour 3. Okay. And I'm going to pose a question to you guys for hour 3. I haven't made it yet. I'll be posting soon, but I want all of your reactions because we're going to read the reactions at hour 3. All right. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for coming on in, and want to say hello to each and every one of you who are enjoying this show and are following us on social media. Tonight we talk Nancy Thames, ET contact, and UFO disclosure. What's it like? We are in the middle of roll call here as we await the arrival of Bill WD-40, who has seemed to have vanished from lubing us up for tonight's show. It's been like 3 weeks. Super Knower, how are you? Good to have you here. And don't forget, everybody, Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis as well. You can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? Because we have I Am Pam t-shirts now. We have I Am Pam t-shirts at Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. Get your I Am Pam shirts. Number 21 in your program, starting at center ice tonight from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Janssen. There he is. Mr. Cowley, oob to Joe's Maine. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Right, go to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight. How awesome is this? We're going to get into ET contact, UFO disclosure. Nancy Thames will be speaking at MUFON Symposium in Dallas, Texas this weekend, is going to be our guest tonight. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton from Tales Untold has a new creepy story for us. Then in hour 3, if you're in our YouTube audience, I'm going to ask you a question. And I want you to answer. But don't answer now if you're in our YouTube audience, because I guarantee you, I'm going to forget your question. I am. But in hour 3, I want you to think about this. And that question is going to be, what does UFO disclosure mean to you? What does UFO disclosure mean to you? I'm going to read your answers on the air. So let's get right to it. Nancy Thames, everybody. Nancy Thames is a foreign defense department employee. She grew up in Tennessee, but she's also lived in Australia, Hawaii, New Zealand, and throughout the Southwest or Southeastern United States. Nancy is finally coming forward to disclose all of her personal experiences about everything and anything extraterrestrial. Her interest in the subject started when she was in childhood, and it recurred right through her life. When she got into her middle to late 20s, she began to realize that these life events were actually true, very real, and others frowned upon discussing it. For years, she knew what happened to her, but she mentally suppressed it due to family disapproval and ridicule. Now is the time for her and others like her to start being open and disclose their experiences for all the humans to wake up and realize we have never been alone. Nancy Thames, thank you so much for coming back on Spaced Out Radio. It's been a couple of years since we've had you here, but we're glad you're back.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. So thank you so much for having me. It's just wonderful.
The one thing that I love about this show is when we get out of the research and get into the brass tacks of the experiencer. So many times lately, especially the last couple of years, we've seen the experiencer kind of shoved aside in this UFO gamut of news with what's going on in the government, what the military is hiding, what the so-called whistleblowers are saying. But there are real people like yourself who are having these experiences. Let our audience learn a little bit about you. This started in childhood for you. What's your earliest recollection?
Wow, it goes back to about 2 or 3 years old, and that's all conscious, physical, face-to-face contact. And it continued it continues now. I still have the same contacts. And throughout my life, though, I've gone through different phases of it. So I've experienced the beautiful parts of it, especially when I was young, because the world around me had not influenced me, and it was just pure and natural. It was, exactly what it was. So I was never scared when I was little. And it really wasn't until I became about junior high age. And that's when not only did my family tell me that I could not talk about these things, but I realized that the world around me they were influencing me to be scared or to be afraid. So the minute that I started experiencing anxiety or fear, my experiences changed automatically. And for me, it was never about what extraterrestrials or interdimensionals look like. For me, it is the frequency exchange between a human being and a extraterrestrial. When a human being is face to face with them, they are of a much higher frequency, and we're not used to being around something like that. And our brain basically does not know how to handle it. So we automatically have this engulf of fear flow all the way through us. And it's a feeling like you've never felt in your life. So for me, I realized as I kept getting older and realized that as long as I was afraid and had all this fear, I was not going to get any further in understanding the real purpose, the real meaning. And so I had to force myself mentally. I do have the ability, like before they come, I know that they're coming. I can feel it. There's a frequency change in my body, and I can feel it. And so I've gone through like being excited and happy. And then I've gone to the point when I was junior high and high school, covering my head going, oh no, not again, that type feeling. And then now what I have to do is when I start to feel it, I have to remind myself, I've done this before. I know what this is. My body thinks it's fear. My body says it's fear, but I have to push through this. And then that way I have a longer period of consciousness, which is the ideal way to have an experience with extraterrestrials or the interdimensionals, because they do not want us to be afraid, but they understand that it's a big change. I mean, you just don't experience anything like this here even when you're scared or you have a dream that you're falling off the bed, or you're dreaming and you have that jump or whatever. This is a whole different ball game of fear because of their frequency. It is unbelievable. So 2 or 3 is the first time that I go back and remember it. And throughout my life, when I got into my 20s, I started asking them more questions I wanted to have longer consciousness. And then I also witnessed my two sons being taken for their first time. And that was the big game changer for me. That changed everything. It wasn't just about me anymore, and me, being adaptive to suppressing it for myself. Now it's a whole new ball game. It involves my children. So when that happened, that's when I really, really said, okay, this is not only is this real, but this involves my children. So I started to meditate and ask them to give me answers. And in their own time, they did come and they took me before a group of elders. And these elders, when I went before them, I asked them, why is this happening to me? What does it mean? What is the purpose? why is this happening to my children? And they explained to me that I had made a choice before being born or having my human experience to come to Earth and be a part of this evolutionary phase that humanity is going through, that I was going to be part of a program to help humanity understand we're not alone. We've never been alone, and to understand that we are reaching a different level of consciousness. And they pretty much left it at that, because at that age, around, I was getting close to 30, they only gave me enough information that my brain could handle at that time, because it has to be done in a certain fashion, in a certain way. We're kind of like, I don't like the word groomed, but we're kind of, I don't know what a good word to use, but they work with us and they're very patient, but they give us time for our brains to adapt, because if they overwhelm us with too much information, we would not be able to handle it at all. And every time they ever would come to get me, even from a little bitty girl up until this day, the first things that they do when I get on craft is check my mental health, my physical health, my spiritual growth. And if I need anything, if I'm sick or have some kind of problem, a lot of times I'm not even aware of, and they'll fix something, they'll do that. But mainly it's just wanting to see, how humanity is doing as far as, reaching our ascension, reaching our evolution, because all of this from the minute before I even came, this was all a preparation to be here for this point in time, because human beings are waking up. We are waking up, and our world is changing all around us, and we are changing. We are evolving and going to become better human beings. And I'm part of that program that is here to help humans understand this.
Nancy, how do you know that that's the mission? A lot of people listening for the first time, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I
That's
do agree
fine.
with what you're saying, but a lot of people listening maybe for the first time who are saying, what is all this peace, love, and light stuff? They come in and we don't know where they're from. We don't know who they are. They're taking us. It doesn't feel like they're asking our permission. And yet it's supposed to be all about peace, love, and light. Then you hear the nightmare stories of what's going on. I do believe, though, that there are different factions, within this whole UFO process here. And I'm just curious, why you take that stance, because there's so many differing stories. And I believe your story is different from mine, different from other people. And I say that as a fellow contactee.
Yes. I understand. I know that mine is quite different. So when I was 30, when I went to the elders, first of all, let me just kind of back up. There's a lot I should have explained. I always have 3 grays. Grays always travel in threes. I had 3 grays. One of the grays is a female gray. None of them are gray. They are reddish brown. And when I was little, they would take either a handheld device, or they would do something consciously with their consciousness. And they would take this device, and they would run it from my head to my toe to my head. And when I was little, I never understood what in the world all this meant or what it was doing. But I do know that after a certain point, my body would start to elevate, like lift off the ground or float up off the bed if I was on the bed. And then I would be holding the female's hand, who I love dearly and I'm bonded to. And she would guide me up through a window or a door or through a ceiling. And so part of the problem when I got into junior high and stuff is, I was taking math and science, and I knew that human beings were not physically able to do these things. So it was very, very confusing, very confusing. But as I've gotten older, they have explained these things to me. What they were doing was changing my human frequency, which is at a low frequency, especially in our 3D realm. We're at a very low frequency. And they were changing my frequency to match their frequency, which allowed me at that point, and I was physically consciously awake, and this was not out of body, this was not anything, it was me. And then they would lead me up through these things because they changed my frequency. But so she is who took me to a craft where I met the elders, and the elders opened up a vision, because when they told me, I shook my head because I don't remember anything like that. And basically they showed me a vision, and I saw myself waiting patiently and them coming to get me. And I saw myself as a etheric type interdimensional being, agreeing and then walking me through the whole process. And I saw myself, my essence or my soul self, going into my mother, and I watched myself being born here on earth. They showed me this vision. So, and I also know that from just my experiences that, well, let me keep right there. So after that, being 30 years old, I dealt with it the best way that I could. And I'm going to be honest with you, it was not an easy road to go at all. I had nobody to talk to. And, anytime I did try, it never worked out well for me. I've been in 2 failed marriages. Nobody wanted to hear what I had to say, that kind of thing. So anyway, so basically they showed me the vision and I saw it, and I knew it was me. And another thing too is that frequencies are very important to understand. When you're around these beings and then you do get to the point to where you're consciously with them, the love exchange that you feel is unbelievable. So they are the most loving, most beautiful things. And most of what we hear on this planet is misinformation that has been done intentionally to make us stay in this lower frequency, the 3D realm that we're in, because the people that have been control over us for decades, and this goes way, way back, like creating racism, creating differences in languages, creating separation of languages, in other words, separation of religions. There's all these divisions that has occurred from many ages back. And it has been what they have used to keep humanity dumbed down and at this manipulated level. And we've been manipulated and controlled all this time. And that's the beautiful part. And why they are here now, why they wanted me to come here, is because we are going through an evolutionary stage. And that's why I say human beings are the disclosure, because we are finally waking up, reaching a higher levels of consciousness, higher levels of understanding. Our awareness is going to expand past that. We only use 5 senses at this point to understand the world and the universe around us. These things in our DNA are going to start to activate, and all these things will not happen overnight. That could never happen. It has to be done in a very slow, beautiful way, just like our creation, because everybody, the whole world, has to all wake up, not just a few of us. And we're not going to be running off, some of us reaching higher ascension and leaving some behind. Dimensions are not physical places. They are higher levels of consciousness. So it has to be done in a beautiful, slow way so that everybody knows that they are a part of it. And that by the time we get to the end of it, it creeps so slow, it will seem like our world has always been this way. And this is just part of our evolution. This is what we're going through. And that's why they are here. They've been waiting all this time for us to reach this point. So they've been planning this for a very, very long time. And there's other people like me, and I don't know all of them, but there's other people. To be honest with you, every single human being on this planet made a choice to be here. We don't remember it because our memories of our past are wiped out, but all of us chose to be here, and all of us came here for a purpose. But as long as we stay in this 3D dimension, we will never reach that higher level of consciousness and understanding who we truly are, our true origins, what our unique capabilities are. But it is happening, and it will continue to happen, and we are going to become the human beings that we were intended to be. But I have a love for them and a frequency exchange with them that's hard to explain to people because it is not something we experience here on earth. And I know from the bottom of my heart, throughout my whole soul, that it is real. And they've proved this to me over and over again. And they tell me when people ask me these things or put me on the spot, not to worry, and I'm not, because what I know is just what they know. And I think what a lot of other people know is that as we reach higher levels of consciousness, all of the world is going to figure out these things within. That's the thing. We have to look. Nobody should believe anything I say or anybody else says. Every one of us should look within. Remember who you are, why you chose to come here, and what your purpose is, because we all came here to do something on this planet because it's in a bad shape right now. And we all came here not to play the game of being controlled and manipulated, but to be a generation that makes a change in the game, no more, and learn to take control.
We got 2 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Nancy Thames is our guest. What is the game? Is it the game of life? Is it the game of soul?
We are being controlled and manipulated by dark forces and, dark hats, Illuminati, cabal, dark forces have been controlling us and manipulating us for many, many reasons. It's a way that they control our population. If we're unhealthy and we're lower level intelligence, we're easy to control and manipulate. They don't want us to be healthy because we would live longer. They don't want us to be more intelligent because we would demand more rights and better things. So even our media all of it is that throws negativity out here, because the trick that they've always used is to keep us separated, division, constant drama, constant wars, people always feeling unstable and upset with their governments, upset with everything in the world around them. And they do this on purpose because it is their way of controlling us. And we never will reach our ascension if we don't learn to become better human beings with new concepts of living and new thinking, and realize that these programmed ways no longer serve us. Wars have never done anything for us. Repeating these cycles are getting us nowhere. And this is our opportunity to move out into a new level of thinking and a new awareness and a better understanding of the world around us. Yeah.
Nancy, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because
Sure.
we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to learn about ET contact, the pros, the cons, and everything in between. Nancy Thames is going to teach us why ET encounters need to be talked about. And they should be talked about because we like them aliens. If you got aliens, you're going to love this show, as we call it, Spaced Out Radio. The second half hour of the big show is coming up next. My name is Dave Scott. We got lots of programming left for you tonight, all about aliens and disclosure. We'll be right back, everybody. All right, Nancy, we are clear. So just a reminder to you that
Yes.
our YouTube and podcast audience can hear you. Our radio audience cannot.
Awesome.
And let's just say hello to Whoopoo, Sasquatch Gee, Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, Phyllis Boucher Perry, Philip. Where's Terrence? Please let us know. And I think we are. Oh, there's D. Cohen. Lots of people coming in late tonight.
Hello, everyone.
You're late. Jeez, I hope you weren't late for school like this. Debbie Nickerson, how are you? Yennefer with a soft J. And Dirty Filth, how you doing?
Oh, I'm melting to death, Dave.
Yeah, what did it hit there today?
When I left work, it was like 33 or something like that.
Yeah, that's hot.
The cats are all liquid.
Yeah, I woke up this morning, it was 24 degrees.
That's tolerable.
Yeah, and then it warmed up. I think it got to 32 here, 32, 33 as well. So that's in Canadian talk for the Americans out there who, aren't into the whole metric system. It was about, you got to realize we're dying up here at like 88 degrees, 85 degrees. All right, we're dying up here. I know a lot of you are in the hundreds. That's why we don't talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, 88 degrees is, you know what though? A year ago right now, Filth. Actually, it was a year ago yesterday in 2017 when I was evacuated during the forest fires.
I was going to say, we didn't get a lot of smoke this year. It rained a lot and it's been a little bit cold, but I'd rather have a colder summer than choking on smoke.
Oh, tell me about it.
I remember that too. You were on standby for a while there, Dave.
I was out of my house for 2 weeks, man. Beelzebrad has a devil put aside for me. Thank you. Corey, how you doing? And yeah, that was scary times back then, man. I didn't know if I was going to lose my house or not. Travis Willier Moose-Toos, how are you, my friend? Silent Listen, nice to see you. Andromedan is in Europe, so he's an alien. He or she is an alien touring Europe right now. They use Celsius over there. Sasquatch Gee is in Calgary. Isn't that weird? We got Sasquatch Gee and Gee Calgary, both from Calgary in the chat room.
Maybe one's a clone.
I wonder. What is that in Celsius? It's about 33 degrees Celsius. If you want 100, you got to get to 37.9 degrees. That's 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's hot.
Yeah. Last week it was a 1 year anniversary of 100 degrees here. It was 102. Gizmo, how are you? And Chris, what you drawing there, Phil?
It's the anniversary of the Roswell incident.
It is.
That's
It is.
cool.
Draw.
That's very cool.
Trust me, it'll look better once it's all
Yeah.
done up and everything.
Yep. Teen, how are you? Nice to see you. And yes, minus 40 Fahrenheit, minus 40 Celsius are the same temperatures. Both Dirty Filth and I get at least 2 days a year where we are equal in Fahrenheit with Celsius.
You can dress for it, though. You can't peel your skin off when it's hot.
No, you can't. I actually don't mind the cold. I really don't mind the cold.
We were in Vegas
hate
the
the
first
wind.
time. We're standing outside at night, and guy comes out of the hotel. He goes, "You should really put a shirt on." And Nicole's like, "Nah, he's from Canada." And the guy's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. I don't understand that. It's like, you see people putting on their like hoodies and jackets at like 78 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm just like, Man, this is the perfect summertime temperature in the 70s.
I got my shorts on.
Exactly. Thank you to Cosmic Joe and W Decker Area 53 for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate the love and support. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. Don't forget, you can now pick up your I Am Pam t-shirt at spacedoutradio.com because we are all Pam. So go check it out. Here we go. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us. I'm sweating up here. It's hot. Hot for Canada. I know, my American listeners, you're dealing with the 100 degrees plus. You got to realize I don't do 100 degrees. I'm like a 71 to 73 degree temperature kind of guy. And right now it's like 90. So hot. So hot. Nancy Thames is our guest. We're going to get to her momentarily as we talk ETs and UFO contact and disclosure. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio or hit us up on any major podcast network. They're all free. We don't charge you anything. So just take advantage of it. I do. You do too. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Nancy Thames is here, experiencer extraordinaire. We're trying to figure out, what do these damn aliens want from us? All right. We're going to find out. Nancy, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. Nancy, curious, because I'm a curious kind of guy.
Sure.
You know, for you, with your experiences that you've had, you told us the message earlier in the last half hour, kind of what you feel they want from you, humanity, and the reason why you're kind of like the human messenger for them, just like many others are.
Mm-hmm.
You've talked to a number of experiencers over the years. You know, not everybody's having grays come around,
Mm-hmm.
the big almond-shaped eyes, the big gray head, the tiny little dirty filth type body. I'm curious, what kind of other creatures or ETs are people talking to you about?
Well, every race has many, many different groups within their race. Like for grays, there's over 60 different races, and they're different colors and different heights and have different facial features. So every single one, like Arcturians, there's many different ones. Aquatic beings, many different ones. Nordics, and there's many different ones. So a lot of people have had just, the most popular is the gray that I hear about. And then I hear a lot about, I've met a reptilian. I've heard people mention reptilians. They're just really all kinds. But I think that what they would want to do for introduction wise first is try to find one that is the closest to our frequency, because that's what's so different about them in an exchange, in an interaction, is the frequency. So I think that, to be honest with you, I was not part of a hybrid program, but I do understand the hybrid program. And I believe that if that would be a good way to try to have a race that we could have a interaction with first, because they would be closer to our frequency than theirs, because theirs is very powerful compared to us. So there's a lot of these things that I think our evolution, our awareness, our higher intelligence is going to help us to understand a lot of these things. I think a lot of things we simply try to humanize a lot of it, and there is no humanizing anything about extraterrestrials or interdimensionals. They are billions of years ahead of us in evolution, and we try to. We will never be able to fly their craft because their craft are living conscious beings, and you and I are sitting here having a conversation. Our technology is, I'm talking to you on a laptop. You're sitting there talking. Our technology is a separate entity. We carry it with us. In their reality, their consciousness is their technology. There is no word such thing as technology because they can manifest whatever they want and do travel and everything through their higher consciousness. So, there is no humanizing. Our physics, our math, none of that works in their reality because they're so far ahead of us. So that's a lot of what we've got to understand, is that we cannot humanize it. It's all different. And they understand this. It's just we have a hard time understanding. We've always thought we were the top dog on the meal chain, and they are so peaceful and loving. We think that all beings are going to be like us and want to fight or do harmful, ugly things. But that's not how it is. As you reach ascension, and they've showed this to me in visions, and it's like humanity will be going up like a DNA ladder. It's like going up a ladder. And as we climb, these old negative warlike ways start falling off. And that's how they did it. And that's how other beings throughout different universes and galaxies have done it. And basically, we have to be patient. In their reality, there is no such thing as time. So I can't tell you what kind of time frame all this is going to happen, but I do know it is going to happen. And I do know that some people will fight it, but it's still going to happen.
Right. What's it like to be taken? For people who've never been taken, could you please describe to us the feeling of what it's like?
Well, like I said, when I was little, I had nothing to influence me. So it just simply was what it was. And I accepted that. And then as I got older, and the programming of the world telling me this is demonic, this is, people will put you in a crazy house, they'll put a jacket around you, et cetera, then that's when I became fearful, and it had extreme anxiety. And, when I would have that feeling, I would simply think, oh no, or not tonight, or different things. But once I learned that the fear was something that I was creating in my own mind, they had nothing to do with it. They can't help that they're at a higher frequency. They do try to help us, because I think you've heard everybody talk about they have missing time or fragmented memories that they can't remember. And that is because they're telepathic. Everything that we feel, they feel it tenfold the amount. They do not like these feelings. In their reality, there is no such thing as sadness or fear or anxiety. There's none of those things. So,
but what are you feeling?
Oh,
when you when you go through the process? Like for me, how I know is that I feel I'll be in like a dream state where all of a sudden I'll feel that gravitational pull, like they are taking me, and it's like, oh God, here we go again.
Yeah.
And to me, it's frustrating. How about you?
Well, I feel their frequency. It's like everything in my body changes, and I feel it. And it's so I push through that, and then I sit there and I stand up and hold their hands and the whole 9 yards, and I rub on their skin, and they feel like a dolphin. I feel the temperature of their skin, and I touch their faces, and they do the same to me, because they're proud of me because I've reached a higher level of understanding that they've been working with me all these years to be able to do. And it did not happen overnight. You know, when I was a little girl, I was all, you know, I understood the love. I understood our bonds and our connections. But then as I got older, because of being in this 3D negative world, it made it different. And so now, 2 years ago, they gifted me a Kundalini awakening. And when they did that, I already understood who I was and everything, but I still was not accepting the experience of it all. So when they did that, then that opened my subconscious up into my human consciousness, and everything in my life from the minute I was born and everything that they ever told me that I dismissed and didn't pay attention to finally gelled together, and I understand the whole scenario. Everything that's ever happened to me, they were a part of it. And it was a learning experience for me to make me who I am today, good or bad. It had to happen to make me who I am. So how do I feel now? I feel unbelievably happy, unbelievably loved, and to be able to hold hands and touch. And, you know, I'm in constant awe because of you will never, there's no way to even express the amount of love that they feel and the things that they have shown and taught me. I now understand my connections with our planet, who is a living conscious being. I understand that insects and trees and all these things that we have taken for granted are living conscious beings. Even our air and our water are living conscious beings. So the way that how I perceive things now is way different than the way I did, say, 20 years ago or 10 years ago, because I understand now that even though I'm sitting here right now, and they have proved this to me, they've affirmed this to me, I'm sitting here right now, but there could be a craft. They could be walking around in here with me right now. And I've been here, and to show me this, they've taken a battery run clock and they'll run it around to 4 o'clock and stop. And then 4 o'clock and stop, 4 o'clock and stop. So, you know, everything they do, even though you might not pick up on it at the moment that it happens, it always serves a purpose later on that you finally understand. And it's just like when I watched them take my children and they left me awake, but in a sleep paralysis where I could not speak or move. You know, I never understood why they didn't take me with them or why they had to do that to me. I understand now. They could have easily have done that and I would have never, ever known. But at the time, they knew I wouldn't understand, but they knew that now I understand that I needed to know what it was like to experience these things. So when I talk to people, I do understand what they felt and what the fear that they had, because I have experienced it. And so it served a purpose, but it took me to going through the Kundalini awakening and then meeting with them and having further conversations where I've asked more questions and they've given me more answers. You know, like, for example, that's how I know that we all chose to be here. And I know that we all have a soul and a consciousness. And when this vessel we're in dies, our soul and our consciousness lives on, and goes on forever. There is no end. We just change our vessels and we experience many, many different things. There's a lot of other things involved, like people having soul contracts and all these different things. And it gets rather complicated. So I don't know how far you want me to go into all that or not at all. But, you know, because
I'm really interested in hearing, and I know our audience will be too, of the experiencers that you've talked to, how many of them are being taken for hours at a time?
Well, most of the time, people don't realize how long they have been gone. Let's, for example, for me and my sons are experiencers just like me. My oldest son, they gifted him a Kundalini, and he experiences everything that I do. And they downloaded information to him and me. We don't live together, but they wanted us to go to Mexico, and we did that last fall. We went there. They sent us down there because they wanted us to experience some things there. But anyway, I lost my train of thought all of a sudden. What did you ask me?
Just in regards to people with missing time, how long they're gone.
Yeah. Well, let's see, when they realize that you're experiencing these feelings that they don't enjoy, they will tap you out. And that's why you will experience fragmented memories and missing time. And for me, now that I'm waking up, I'm starting to recall and remember all these things and piecing it all together. And what they started doing for me is, and even now, sometimes they'll take me on craft, but they only bring me back consciously as I'm walking down the hall to the bedroom and putting me in the bed. Now, I don't know why they're doing that, but there's something activity or something that I'm doing, and maybe there's not enough time to deal with me from the human end, because I do ask a lot of questions, and maybe perhaps they're on a time limit, and they're very task oriented. It's not a big social club or anything like humans think of. There's nothing like that. There's no negotiating, and there's no like sitting there and like getting information to write a book. It doesn't work that way. It's always, you're there for a reason and a purpose, or a lesson to be learned. So, and most everybody I talk to, they, like me, you feel like you've been there for probably a week sometimes, and then you come back and you've only been gone for an hour in our time, because in their reality, there is no such thing as time. And it's like they tell me, I think that I'm very old because I'm 64 years old. To them, I'm a baby. That is nothing. That is nothing, So it's a lot of it is basically understanding that they're not human. I'll tell you something else too. They do not exchange name. Like when I'm there and we're having communication and stuff, their frequency is who they are. They don't use names like and label things like we do, because they are not verbal unless they're down here on earth for whatever reason. They are telepathic. Their frequency is their signature, and their frequency is different than, they're not all the same frequency. That's their signature. So when they're talking to me, I can tell by their frequency whether they're male or female. I can also sense inflection in their voice, and it's not their voice, but in my head, I sense that.
What is that communication like? Take us through that, what it's like to communicate with extraterrestrials.
Well, if I'm just here in my everyday world, sometimes they'll understand, or I meditate to them quite often, very often, and they know everything I do. If I'm wondering in other words, for example, I'll just give you an example. I went and talked to some mental therapists locally where I live to try to get them to educate themselves about abductees, contactees, experiencers, people with the paranormal experiences, etc. Because as we progress through disclosure, more people are going to start to remember things or become more aware of things, and they might not have people at home to talk to, just like I did not. And they're going to need meetup groups or need something, because here in the South, we don't have these kind of things going on at all. So, but when I left, and it went well, by the way, it was well received. But as I left, I was driving home and I was thinking to myself, oh, I hope I did the right thing. These people could all get together. They're all mental therapists. with degrees, and they could just say, hey, we need to put her somewhere. And I was sitting here thinking, oh my goodness, I hope I've done the right thing. And then they said telepathically in my head, they said, look to your left. And I was driving through the countryside headed home, and it was in an Amish community. If you can, I mean, I like to do that on my way home and drive through and look at all their beautiful vegetation and things. And they said, look to your left. And I looked to the left, and there it was, a silver craft just sitting there out in the middle of the field, hovering, just sitting there. And it just brought tears to my eye, because that was for me to see. That was them letting me know they were happy with what I was doing, and they know. And they do that all the time. They don't reward me in any way that a human would understand. It's more things like that. And it is meant for me. And I am not, they are not here to impress anyone. And neither am I, because they are family to me. I am who I am. And I don't care what anybody else thinks, because I know I have my affirmation. I have all that. And I'm, and that's why I'm saying everyone needs to look within and figure out and make your own decisions. And when you finally look into your heart and open and ask your subconscious to help your human consciousness to understand these things and give it permission to release those blockages that it may have placed from some of your experiences and stuff, you will slowly start to understand these things, and this information will just come to you. It will come to you. And for me, I had to learn to accept what my subconscious and what they were saying to me without questioning it, because I was questioning it. And that's why they ended up gifting me a Kundalini to give me that jump boost that I needed, to quit questioning myself. Yeah.
The experiences that you have had questioned for yourself, have you ever looked at this and asked yourself, why me? Why is this going on?
Absolutely. And also I've said, I remember saying this when they told me all this, and I understood finally, and I thought, when I looked around at the human world, at our world, and started thinking about what all's going on, I said, this is it. This is what I signed up for. So I've had many different emotions and feelings to emerge, which is natural. We are human beings, and learning to have positive thoughts over all these negative things that pop in our head is a job itself that I've had to work on, to try to raise my frequency. And that's another thing. We all need to work within and work on raising our frequency, because that is the key to reaching ascension. That is the key to higher consciousness, which is higher awareness and intelligence. And not only that, but their craft and are not hiding from us. They are everywhere in our skies, and they are everywhere in our solar system. We just cannot see it with our eyes being in this 3D realm. But as we creep out into the fourth dimension, our awareness will open up, and we'll start to see these things more and more and more. So, but see, there's as many people here that want to try to keep us back and hold us back to stay in this horrible dimension that we're in, because that's where they have their authority and control. And when we leave that, they are nobody. They are nothing, because even wealthy people, we will be moving away from that.
Nancy Thames, we have her for another hour here on Spaced Out Radio as we wrap up the first 60 minutes of tonight's show. My name is Dave Scott. We always love bringing the woo to you. More alien and UFO talk in hour 2. We'll take some of your questions as well. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues after this. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, I'm just checking to see if I missed any questions here. No, I got them all. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Michael Gutierrez. All right. We're going to turn this bad boy over to Dirty Filth. As you can clearly see, this is the debris from a weather balloon and not some sort of flying. Take it away, Filthy. Don't get your microphone on.
I've made sure my microphone is on, Dave. You know what really grinds my gears? These stupid paper straws. I'm struggling mightily with my Slurpee right now. It's just terrible. Hi, Blob. The Blob has arrived.
Oh, I hear.
Come on, Blob. She's about 9,000 years old. Come here, Blob. Come on. I found a blob.
Just think, we will probably be able at some point to see what the cat can see.
Well, that'd be kind of cool. Well, the cat would probably be looking at my toes as Blobby. She just sits on my stomach when I try to wake up in the morning with her butthole in my face. Because cats seem to like to do that all the time. They've mostly been turned to water today. I got 4 cats, and they're mostly liquidy. It's there we go. But it's kind of cooling off a little bit, so it's nice. We have achieved blobness. Yes, JSCO we have. Actually, I was usually before the show, I get my drawing together and everything, and I went to the store to grab Slurpees, and I came back, and it was probably my gargoyle, my little gray guy. He stepped all over the paper, and he had like muddy. I don't know how he got muddy paws, but they were dirty and muddy, and I had to redraw the cartoon. So he knows he knows he's still gonna get snacks anyways.
Yeah,
he's a good boy. But I also wanted to say, if I know we have some people that live in general Edmonton area, if you're not doing anything, let's see here, July 12th to the 14th, you can come out to the White Avenue Art Walk. I'll be at the South Bark on White, where the dog park is. You can come say hi. I have a whole bunch of original drawings, and yes, it's gonna be cool. I believe there's over 470 artists there this year. It's their largest turnout. It's all local artists and original artwork and everything. It's really neat. It's for 3 days, rain or shine. Oh yes, Love V. I said some not very nice things to the lady because she decides to spray cats, and it's a long story. It's not important, but it's been dealt with. I sent some persuasive Italians to go over there and talk with her. There's a lady in our complex thing here, and she's complaining about cats, but there's a million complexes. There's a million cats everywhere. And then they were complaining about rabbits too. And I'm thinking, well, you can't complain about the rabbits because they just kind of live everywhere. And she said she sprays cats that come in her yard. And I kind of chuckled because my gray cat, my gargoyle, he's a water cat. So if you were to spray him, he'd probably just flop over and accept it.
Yeah, that's funny.
I think where are we at right now? Currently, let's check the old weather station here. It's currently 22 in Edmonton, which is, I don't know. I can't translate that because I never grew up with standard or whatever. Imperial. I'm not sure. But yes, it's tolerable now. A hair shirt in this heat. That's funny that you say that, Christine. In my favorite book series, the Malazan Book of the Fallen, there's a character and he wears a hair shirt, which was his mother's hair. It's really disgusting, and all the other soldiers despise the guy, but he's a really good soldier anyway, so in the end it works out good. But yes. Metric, yes, you are correct. M.E. Boykin. After this, I have to go feed the cat snacks. Then I have to cut out some more of my drawings. I have to stick them in frames, and I think I'm going to take about 30 drawings with me. And I have to make certificate of authenticities for them, because that's unique. Nobody ever seems to do that. Yeah, Christine, the Malazan Book of the Fallen is written by 2 Canadian guys. And it's good fantasy series, extremely difficult to get into. And other than that, it is probably one of the best. It's really the main 10 books. There's a lot in them, and they kind of go from different points of views. There's no real good guy or bad guy in them. But yes, belly button lint sweater. I could build one of those in about a week. Right, Dave?
That's right, buddy. That's right.
I have to go wring my chest hair out after this, Dave.
Oh, dude, I can tell you, I don't like sweating. Well, I do.
Have a good night, everybody.
Goodbye, Dirty Filth.
Bye.
That's Dirty Filth, everybody. Mark Sanchez and his collection of Hawaiian shirts. How you doing, bud? And let's see. All right.
Do you ever meditate?
All the time.
Awesome.
All the time.
That's
yeah.
good.
All right. Hi, Paramarv. Thank you to W. Decker and Joe for the super chats. Here we go, everybody. Here we go with the next hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Go get them for free. That's what they're there for. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Babbledoma. Babbledoma is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, Nancy Thames is here, ET contactee. She is hanging on out with us, telling us all these weird, strange stories about what the ETs have channeled down to her. Nancy, thank you for coming on in.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if you're heading to the MUFON Symposium in Dallas, Texas this weekend,
Yeah.
you can see Nancy speak there, which is going to be
I'm not going to be speaking there.
Or you just going?
Yeah.
Well, you can go speak with Nancy there. How about
I'm
that?
going to make connections and get to know people.
All right. You're going to have a great time. Like I said, I was in the one in Denver. I got to speak there, and it was a lot of fun. I'm
excited.
I think you're going to have a great time. All right, Nancy, before we get to some audience questions, UFO disclosure. In your conversations with any extraterrestrials, have they ever talked about whether or not they want to disclose?
Absolutely. That's why I'm here. They've always wanted this, but we had to get to a level of intelligence to understand we are not alone in the universe. They are not gods. They are not angels. They are simply a race of beings that is a billion years ahead of us. And they were here before we ever were. And what they're witnessing us go through is what they've been waiting for. They've been waiting for this to happen. We are like the little caterpillar that's coming out of the cocoon and turn it into the butterfly. I mean, we are growing up. You know, this is just part of our evolutionary process, and they've been waiting on this, and that's why they are here now in such large numbers, and why our government knows that when they gave the indication and started coming in around here, that lets them know that they're ready. We're ready. We're getting ready. We're all being prepared for our big event, which is for us to be a part of the cosmic realm and understand who we are. This is a big deal. I mean, this is the biggest thing in the whole galaxy, in the universe, because right now we are priority, because this is our big step. This is a big deal for them and us, because we are all one and we are all connected, and we will remember all of our connections at some point. But we are connected. Everything that we do here on Earth ripples out into the universe and affects them, because we are all one. So that's why, they come down and prevent us from messing around with nuclear weapons, and they turn off our silos and stuff, is because it not only would wipe us out, but it would destroy our planet, all living creatures on it. And there's so many indigenous people still here that we don't even think about. And it would ripple out into the universe and affect them because of our connections. And we're going to realize our connections, and that everything we do, because when we were created, everything on this planet was created so that we would all support and help each other, so that we could sustain our lives forever, because everything we ever needed was placed here for us. But because of all this programming, we don't even realize that there's everything medicinal, all these things are here. We're just, now we're locked into pharmaceutical synthetic drugs, and, all these toxins are everywhere that they put in our bodies. And they're doing that on purpose, because we're going to wake up and realize that we have been manipulated and controlled, and we have never been free. And when this happens, our lives are going to change, all of us. And we're going to understand that we can work together in unity and accomplish the things that we want. We all talk about what we want to see in the world, and the change has to start within us, understanding who we truly are, why we came here. And that's why I say we are the disclosure. It is us figuring out our purpose and who we are and how we can better ourselves, and then branch out into our rest of our family and through friends. And it will expand like the common cold. It just expands. People
Right.
will want to be on that same frequency.
You see, I don't believe in disclosure. I don't. The way the government is putting it.
Well,
I
we
believe-
are the disclosure, in my opinion.
I believe people are the disclosure. I've had my own, you've had yours.
Mhm.
I think it's an individual process
It
of
is.
what happens. But I don't think we're ever going to get somebody standing up in the White House saying aliens are here. I don't see
Right.
that
Well,
whatsoever. There's too many secrets. What's your
Exactly.
thoughts on
Well, that's what I'm saying. People like you and I, and all of the people listening out there, we all chose to be here. We have to stand our ground, work within, work on ourselves. Be patient with the rest of the world. Be patient. Let evolution do its job. That doesn't mean that we quit doing anything. Nothing is going to be done for us. Nobody is going to come down and fix anything for us, because we made a choice to be here. We are here on free will. They cannot overstep their boundary and come in and make everybody healthy, cure all these problems. We created them. We have to fix them. We are like children to them. But what it means is that we have to work on ourselves, figure out who we are, be the change that we want the rest of the world to be, start doing these things within, and then work on our families, and then move on out. But it will happen. We just have to be patient and understand and stay strong and understand that evolution is happening right now. And we've got to be patient and let it do its job. And it will not happen overnight. It cannot be done that way, because it would be too overwhelming to a lot of people's brains, because this is a worldwide phenomenon. This is not just about me. This is not just about the people listening or a few countries in the world. This is the whole humanity, all of us. So you have to understand they're looking at it from a worldwide perspective, because this is not something where just a few of us are going to ascend and the rest of us are going to end up somewhere. That's not how the universe works. Everybody is going to ascend, not all at the same time or at the great pace as some of us, but eventually it's going to happen. And as long as we're doing our part and making an effort, we're working towards it, and we're raising our frequencies as much as we can, they're going to see that, and they'll be able to do more and interact with us more simply by us working and showing an effort and wanting to be better human beings.
That's a very communal thought. I don't know if it's possible, considering the discrepancies in politics around the world, unfortunately, and I don't want to get too political on this show. But I mean, when we start coming together, we see countries from around the world talking more and more about UFOs, which they try to hide under that horrible acronym UAP. And we see this starting to take shape, but to me it's a narrative, it's a threat narrative, it's a controlled version of what they like to call disclosure, which I like to call more of a confirmation movement. I don't see anything happening within the next number of years, unless the aliens just decide to show up, that will really move this ball forward. I do see more people opening up. I do see, especially the 35 and younger crowd, becoming more spiritually adept to what is going on in this world. But I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
We need to all be more spiritual, which is not religion at all, becoming more spiritual. And when I say that, that's simply understanding our connections, understanding, having respect for our planet, our environment, for all living things on it. And, this doesn't mean that we have to totally change our whole lives, but we do need to change a lot of things. And I do know that we need to do everything that we possibly can do to try to be better human beings. Because if it gets to the point to where nobody wants to do anything, something bad will happen. But we're trying to raise the frequency on this planet and wake people up so that we don't have to go that route. And now I can tell you that there will never be something that would totally wipe all of us out. The worst case scenario would be just a happening that would be enough to wake the world up, but it would not be a worldwide thing. But I'm hoping that it won't come to anything like that, that we can just keep trying to change, trying to, instead of thinking we can't do this, start thinking we can do this. Start thinking that we have to do this. This is like an opportunity. This is not something that we can put off to do later. This is something that we need to do now, because I think our government has been given, or perhaps they have like a time frame that they have to start getting all this out to us. And I know for a fact they would love for the James Webb Telescope to find something, and that would make their job a lot easier. And you have to understand why they can't come out and say certain things. Who wants to be the first government to come out and say, we are looking at a race of beings, we cannot match anything that they have. Our physics doesn't apply. Our technology is not a separate entity. They can manifest what they want with their own consciousness. What country would want to be the first one to come out and start showing their vulnerabilities, especially when we're already in a war? So that's why I'm saying, let's just be intelligent about this. So what? We don't need that. All we got to do is work on ourselves, come to that level of understanding, and it will not matter whether they told us or not. We already know lots of bad things have been done. But what we have to realize, whether we like it or not, just like within my life and within your life, to make you who you are today, you had to go through the good and the bad. So did our planet. Our planet, humanity, had to go through these different stages to make us who we are today. And we won't ever forget our past, but we will use our intelligence to understand we won't make those mistakes again. But we also know that we have to not dwell on all these negative past ways. That's done and gone. Half of those people that made those decisions are no longer living. It's in the past. It's what we do from here on out, the decisions we make now. What we do now is the decisions that will predict our future for future generations, because we have the opportunity to go down in history as the generation that actually made a change for our world. And we are the generation that our world and the rest of the humanity has been waiting for. We are it. We are the generation that has been prepared for this event. This is a big event, and we are the generation to start this. And we need to accept that and start doing it.
Nancy Thames is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Real heavy stuff here about the ET contact and disclosure movement. We know that, or we can assume that ETs would like disclosure. We assume that they want to bring us into whatever world they're in. Granted, we are a very young and violent type society that they're still not quite used to for the Zen and Chi beings out there. Okay. But we have a lot of things going on this planet that really control what's going on. And that goes from nuclear weapons to, government tensions and communism and, Justin Trudeau trying to figure out what socks to wear today. All right. There's a lot of hard questions that need to be asked, and life is getting heavier for many people, and I mean, I talked to one person, the other day who's an experiencer who said, I just don't know when my contact is going to come. Do you think the ETs right now are a little bit more afraid, if I could use that term loosely, about trying to communicate with us while there is so much world tension going on?
No, absolutely not. They understand what we're going through, and it's nothing they haven't either experienced billions of years ago or seen other races do this. This is nothing new to them. They know everything we think and do. They're not scared at all. They've already proven they can turn off these things just as quick as we can turn them on. I mean, we need to really start using our intelligence and seeing the real picture here. They're doing us a favor by not interfering. They're trying to allow us to grow and truly understand all the stupid mistakes that we have made, and realize that our decisions that we make with the technology that we have now could really do some really damaging things and change the course of how we're living at this moment. It could get a lot worse. And if something doesn't, I think everybody's intelligent enough to understand something needs to be done. Something needs to happen. And they cannot come down here and just fix it. We have to do our part. We all know that the way that we're headed is not good, and that we've got to do some things. And that's the thing. And I think that's where it plays into understanding all of us need to accept we are in a changing world. Our planet is going through an ascension. We are going through an ascension. We need to work towards the world that we want to see. We need to visualize that, what we want, and work towards it. Start ignoring all these other aspects. Quit watching the news. Quit being led around like a horse with the reins on it. And the more that you ignore these negative things, they'll quit even doing things because nobody will be paying attention to them. They won't be getting any attention from it. It's just like, it's kind of like we treat our toddlers. If you keep feeding into that negativity and giving them what they want, they continue. But once you stay, no, I'm not going to pay any attention. I'm not going to watch this news. I'm not going to, go and support these certain people. And eventually they won't have anybody to even follow them. It's just the way they show it me in the visions is that as we become more intelligent and raise our frequency, and when you raise your frequency, it feels good. The best thing I can compare it to is like what a runner expresses about when they run and they get that adrenaline rush and it feels so good. That's what raising your frequency feels like. It feels really good. And when it starts to occur, you enjoy it. Your personality changes. Your energy level changes. Your outlooks on life change. And people pick up on this. It feels really good. And I know, but you have to work at it. It's not just going to happen if you just sit there and don't try it. We all have to work within ourselves and work on these things. And the closer we get, the more that they can get more on our frequency and do more with us. But don't go into thinking that somebody is going to fix everything. We have to do our part.
Let's get to some audience questions. We have 2 minutes to go. A lot of questions for you tonight. Let's start off with Human Carl. Nancy, if it isn't too personal, would you explain what it was like having your Kundalini awakening and what you received by having it?
I was asleep, and all of a sudden my body gets thrown forward in a sitting position in the bed. My head goes back like this, and then it's like these energy surges go all the way down to my waistline, the trunk of my body. I fall back, and it does that continuously 3 times. And it scared me to death. I had no clue what was happening to me. I didn't know if I had died, and I didn't know what it was. And then after it was over, then I had a kind of like a out of body experience where I went through like this tunnel thing, and I ended up on a craft, and I was walk in, and there's like all these humans sitting around in a circle. They were all humans. And I sit down, and it's like they were all ready, looking at me, ready for me to say something. So I think what it was it was for contactees that had all had the same thing happen. And then we were to get together and try to work this out one-on-one with each other, or a way of letting me know that it was not just happening to me. But at the time, all I could think about was, I want to go home, because it's just like everything that's ever happened to me with them. I don't always understand it automatically. I don't always get it automatically. Sometimes, as a matter of fact, I got to talking to my son couple of weeks or a month later, I don't remember exact time frame. Come find out, same thing had happened to him. Only with him, he was out in the woods hiking by himself, and it happened to him.
Nancy, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We are going to continue with audience questions here coming up in the next half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Nancy Thames, our guest. We'll be right back. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, we are clear. Nancy, I got a bunch of questions. I know you love going into detail, but I've got about 14
Okay.
questions for you.
So I need to cut them short. Okay.
Yeah. So I want to make sure we can try and get them all in for our audience.
Okay.
They are pumped right up for you to speak to them.
Okay.
Yeah. So it goes. Smurfy, how you doing? Who else is here? Good old human Carl. Human Carl. Human Carl. That's the way we roll, human Carl. All right. You having fun, Nancy?
Yes, I absolutely love doing this.
Perfect.
I really do.
Perfect.
When I was in college, I never liked public speaking, the course. But now I don't know. This topic is something about it. It just flows through me. I just absolutely love it. I guess because it means so much to me, makes a difference.
Right. Yeah, I love talking about this stuff too.
That's what's so nice about my sons being experiencers. We can have those really deep conversations. When I was younger, I had nobody. But
Right.
now we can really have some great discussions. It's awesome.
We got about 1 minute here. Thank you again to W. Decker and Joe for the super chats. J Truth Seeker, how you doing? Renee Cruz, good to see you. Hi, Eric J. I'm going to try and fit all these questions in. If you're one of the late ones getting in questions, I might not be able to get it in, but I will do my best. All right. And we got about 14 seconds. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Here we go, Nance. Second half of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. We've been talking aliens and UFO disclosure. Going to get some audience questions for our guest, Nancy Thames, momentarily. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us in on Spaced Out Radio tonight. We love being your nightly entertainment for all things weird and strange. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. We're on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We got good stuff there. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Nancy Thames is here, hanging out with us, talking ETs, UFOs, and audience questions. Nancy, thank you. You ready for the rapid fire round here?
Let we go.
All right. Woo Riders is asking, this is Derek, is it true ET hasn't been seen on Earth in 2 years?
That's not true.
All right.
I've seen them. Yeah.
Follow up from Derek. If aliens are millions of years more advanced than humans, how is it that there have been numerous off-world UFO crash retrievals?
They are billions of years, not millions. They're billions, and those were gifts. They did that on purpose.
Do you think that these crash retrievals are, much like we do with our teenagers at 16 years old? We allow them to take a little trip in the car, and next thing you know, they're getting in an accident because they're not paying attention. You think that's what's going on?
No, I think it's more intelligent than what we realize. And I'll try to do this fast. For them to change their vessel, like we're in a human vessel, for them to change their vessel, it only takes in human time about 3 days, which is nothing to them. So before their body, they can leave their body before it actually dies. So they could know that they're doing this, and they can actually teleport or whatever out into their soul leaves. So it was a gift. It was done intentionally.
All right.
It's not like they died and they were stuck here on Earth. It's nothing like that.
Crystal would like to know, if they do not feel all those negative emotions, are ETs capable of love, like our definition of love?
Yes, they all have a partner, and they usually have one offspring at least. And they can, just because you don't see genitalia doesn't mean that they don't have it within. They can choose to have their intercourse or whatever any way they want. It can be physical or it can be consciously. And then to have a child, it can be done preferably like we probably will see. Well, it's easier to do in a test tube because they can pick all of the genetics that they want, eye color, what the child's what their job is going to be is decided before, their gender, all those things are decided. So it's easier to do within a test tube, but they could do it the other way, natural like we do. But they are different bodies. But the grays don't, they reproduce through the test tube. Yeah, they don't have babies like we do.
All right, let's get to Simon. Nancy, why don't the ETs just frequency beam all people in power and be done with it?
because they all made choices about what they were going to experience here on Earth, and they cannot interfere with what their soul contract is.
Let's move on. Cindy wants to know, Nancy, can you tell us more about the Nordics with wavy blonde hair and blue tight suits? That is who I have seen.
There's Nordics, they don't all look alike. So some have blonde, some have dark brown hair, some have white hair. They either have blue or green eyes. You know, they don't always look alike. But yeah, they look the most like humans, but they're definitely not. They're not humans at all. And they're very tall.
Yeah, I wish I had some of that height.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. All right. Paramarv wants to know, I frequently heard grays don't understand human emotion, yet you ascribed emotions to them a number of times tonight. Happy, love, etc. Are these grays you're working with?
Yes. I work with grays, different types of grays, and they do understand love, but on their face, they definitely do not show anything because they are nonverbal. They don't have the developed vocal and the developed facial things, but they can actually have a little humor. It's not to the degree that we feel or understand, but they can be humorous. Yes.
All right, let's move on to another one. Pixie Lara would like to know, how do the ETs feel about the part of the population that refuses to believe or choose ignorance?
They understand that everybody's here on their own spiritual path. Not everybody came here to be beautiful and loving and try to change their soul level to a higher frequency, because all this here is a preparation for later on. We're gaining experiences. So some people came here with the exact opposite. They're here to do the negative work. So it's really strange, but everybody's here and makes decisions, and they just make a decision about what they're going to experience here before they get here.
All right, let's continue on here. Let's go to the Andromedan. What do you know about the Arcturians?
They're very intelligent. They're, they really, all of them are very loving and caring. Most of the things that you hear on Earth are human concoctions, but they are very loving, very intelligent, and all of them have done many wondrous things to help humanity. And most things go unnoticed, but they've done lots and lots of things. They watch the world around us for big rocks coming, comets, asteroids, and things like that. And then they also, they're constantly paying attention to what goes on here, and they all care about what happens here.
Do they really?
They do.
Let's go to Vinny. What are your thoughts regarding the hybridization program?
I was not there. I do not know everything about it, but I understand that there was a purpose for it, and their perception of it is that they did nothing wrong, because they come down and see us fishing, pulling fish out with hooks. They see us tagging animals and doing these things on our own planet. So but from their perspective, that they were not doing anything any different than what we were doing. And the stories about probes and all these heinous things are not true. I'm not saying that people, they believe their experience, and the fear is overwhelming. And a lot of times they don't even they get blacked out. But when they come together, the last thing they remember is the fear, and their brain will try to fill in these missing pieces. And it does it with what you've been programmed to think about these things. So it will end up being a negative experience. And a lot of them will change their minds later on and realize that it wasn't a negative experience. It was something else. But it's real. It's real at the time, and fear is real, but we just don't understand what we're experiencing.
No, I can totally agree
Mm-hmm.
with that. All right, let's move on. Let's go to alien believers. If there is a race of bad aliens that have taken over us for thousands of years, how are we going to change what they have done?
There is not a bad race of aliens that have done anything to us. That is all misinformation to keep us in fear of them, when for this particular time they wanted us to have all these negative feelings, and a lot of things have been done. Even fake abductions were done by humans. Humans are our own worst enemy. Extraterrestrials, interdimensionals have done nothing to us, but they get blamed for things because they want to keep us in fear of everything. It keeps us separated, arguing, difference of opinion, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
All right, let's continue on here. Let us go over to Paramarv. Nancy, one challenge to disclosure and acceptance of non-human intelligence is religion. Have they suggested, they being the ETs, any ideas on how to move past that challenge that many have?
Well, religions are man-made, so they don't apply to anywhere else within the universe or other universes or other galaxies. It is man-made. So they do not have that kind of, there is no division in higher realms. There is no division. Everyone understands their connection and they are all one. And no one is any better than the other. And they all understand this, and they're all, believe and work together in unity. And that's what we are they're trying to help us to reach that point in that stage for us, because unless we are going to wipe, or we can do bad things to ourselves and go through a lot of horrible things if we don't learn from our past and realize these things and understand our connections to our planet, to ourselves, to each other and them.
All right, moving on. Follow up from Paramarv. Can you give us any examples of information that the ETs may have shared with you, future or past, that we humans don't currently know or understand correctly?
We have everything in the world to look forward to. We have to be patient, hold our ground, continue on, work at being a better human being, starting within, then working outwards towards others. We have to understand that we have a lot to learn, understand that there's a lot about our own planet that we don't know, understand that there's a lot to be learned, and things can be much, much better than what they are. We will experience in our future no poverty, no disease. We will live longer lives. We will learn to have occupations that we will not even consider as jobs. It will be a service to self, a service to community. And we will learn that AI can actually change our lives, and it will not take away all jobs. It will create new ways of living, and we will not be so materialistic oriented, because we can use AI to build all these heavy things and do all these things to where we won't need money as much, because we'll learn to live in a society where we are in unity and shared, and we'll just be much better human beings. And they have showed me these visions, and they always tell me, tell everyone, AI is a man-made tool, and we have to keep it as a man-made tool. We are the intelligence that created it, and we are to be the intelligence to watch over it. And it needs to be for the whole of all of humanity, not just certain individuals, because it will never work that way for any good. We have to be in control of it on a humanity level.
Let's move on to another question. Let's go next to Eric. What will happen to the really bad people, the ones who refuse to raise their frequency?
It's part of evolution. It will eventually happen. They have no choice. It's part of evolution. And if they, if they can't deal with it, I don't know what they're going to do. But if they want to be a part of this world, a part of humanity, if they want to be a part of their family, they will eventually have to change. They will have to change. And it's just, that's the way evolution works. It's just like a bird when it's born. It may not want to learn to fly, but eventually it has to fly to survive, to be able to continue on in its cycle of life. It has to do it. And that's what's going to happen.
Alien Believers is asking, I heard that Greys are working with the evil people. If not, who do they work? Who does work with evil people?
Evil people work with each other. They are in their own little society, their own Illuminati, their own cabal, their own secret societies, etc. The pedophiles, all these people, they're all in cahoots together. They're all considered dark forces, and that is who we need to be worried about. That is who is destroying our world. And a lot of them are very, very rich, and they're manipulating and controlling our governments. And not all of our government people go into office wanting to be bad or anything. They go in with great intentions, but then their strings get pulled by these people that actually are the puppeteers manipulating them around and making them pass things for their agenda and their narrative, not at the best interest of the rest of the world. So it's just another one of those things we've got to change. And we all know this.
Let's go to Simon. Did the ET give you the choice to involve your kids? Do you wish you were given the choice?
No, that was their decision. And they made it just like I did before they came to Earth. They came here. I know we are connected, but just because they're my sons here on this planet doesn't mean we are connected, but doesn't necessarily mean that they were actually my sons there. They could have been something else. And we also talk about that we often have the conversation because of our activity at night is so active with interdimensionals and extraterrestrials. Sometimes we wonder if this is not the dream here on the planet Earth. We're just in a sleep stasis up there, and we're down here, and this is the dream.
All right, moving on. Let's go to Blue Cruise. Are the aliens ETs still pointing to the year 2027 for any major confirmation or disclosure events?
We do not talk in terms of time or years or labels. They do not do that. There is no such thing as time, and their frequency is their uniqueness. They don't need any label or tags or names. They don't do that. So they don't give me time frames. We are in the middle of it right now, and it will continue until it ends. And a lot of it depends on us, how quickly we can wake others up, how quickly we can reach the understanding that we can be better human beings.
All right, let's go to Derek. Nancy, has ET ever shown you future events that will occur on Earth?
Yes. We will become better human beings. We will live. We are going to go down in history as being the generation that made the biggest change for humanity. We will be remembered many forever. We will go down in history. This is a big event, and I don't think people realize just how big this is. And the beautiful part of it is we are all a part of it. We are the disclosure. All of us, we all chose to be here, and we are going to make a change, and it's going to take all of us waking up and understanding that we're not just the people that we've been programmed to be. We are individuals that came here for a purpose. We're not here to play the game, the program that's been put here in this 3D realm. We're here to fix it and end it and start a new way of thinking and a new way of living for future generations, so that when the future people that choose to have the human experience, they're going to actually get to enjoy it. They're not going to work these 8 o'clock till 5 o'clock jobs, 9 to 5 jobs. And by the time we retire, we're so sick and unhealthy, we don't even get to enjoy the human experience. We were not created to be like this. We were created to enjoy the human experience, but we are not, because we're in a 3D controlled realm, and we have to pull humanity out of this so that we can enjoy our human experience. And now that we reach this understanding, we will start enjoying every day of our life in a more meaningful way. And we will spend more time with our families, because we'll understand this is a very short experience compared to what we're going to do in the futures. And we need to start enjoying it more and not be so materialistic, not be so focused on the wrong things, but enjoying our families and our experience here as a human being, and appreciate our world.
2.5 minutes before we have to say goodnight to you. Let's get to Sierra's question. Do you think there's an ET base on the moon?
Sure. And under our waters and in mountains all over the place. Yes.
All right, let's continue on. Let's go to alien believers. How do we best talk to the ETs directly without having an awakening, but know that they are there?
Meditate with pure intention. That's what I do. I meditate with pure intention. And when I say that, I block out the rest of the world and focus primarily and say what you mean. Say what you want. Say what you mean. They hear us. Once we raise our frequency, we're getting closer to their frequency. And that's what they want to see from us, is making an effort. We cannot raise our frequencies if we stay in this negative world and continue living like we're living. We have to raise our frequency, reach ascension, and they not only will hear us, we will exuberate. This frequency will shine. We are like the light. We are the lights that's going to shine, and our whole planet, everything is going to pick up on it. Every living creature on the planet is going to move right there with us, because they've all been waiting on us to understand who we are and what we're capable of doing. We're very unique.
All right, one more question. We got about a minute here. This is from Paramarv. If everyone comes to their own spiritual path, why do we have to have something really real terrible people who hurt innocents? Are they serving some purpose for a higher good?
Yes. They all made choices before they came here. And, a lot of these things are, in other words, we're going through this, and there's different variables that can happen along the way. And we're making those choices right here, right now. So if you decide you want to change and you want to be better, start thinking that way. We can create the reality we want around us by being the person, or being and living and trying to be what we want to see the rest of the world do. We have to start within. Everything is about us starting within, learning who we are, figuring out, meditating, working at it. Ask your subconscious to open up into your human consciousness and help you as we get more things open up, more information is available. Ask your inner self to help you, because it knows. It made a choice to be here, and it knows a lot of this stuff. And all of this stuff that I'm telling you, you already know. You just got to wake up and start living it.
Nancy Thames, everybody. Coming up next, Steve Stockton from Tales Untold. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio returns right after this. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, Nancy, thank you so much.
Thank you. I've had a really good time. Hope you'll have me again sometime. I love it. I'll try to have some coffee before, so I'm a little perkier.
You're very perky. We love you around here. Thank you, Nancy.
All right. Thank you, dear. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Nancy Thames. Love her. We'll be right back, guys. All right, I am back. All right. Remember our big question. I'm going to put it up here. What does UFO disclosure mean to you? I want to know your answers. We're going to talk about that through the UFO report. I want to know. You need one of these. These keep it nice and cold in our store. Thank you to our two super chatters tonight, W. Decker and Cosmic Joe. Greatly appreciate it. Poncho Zorch, how you doing? Put your answers in capital letters, please. Here we go. All right, here is the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Sticking with the Space Travelers Club, the Desert Clam has set the password for tonight, and it is Babbledoma. Babbledoma is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let us say hello to Steve Stockton from Tales Untold and Another Creepy Story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. In the heart of the Navajo Nation, also known as the Diné people, where the vibrant red sandstone mesas rise majestically from the desert floor like ancient guardians, stories of the skinwalkers weave through the air like an eerie melody. The tales are whispered with a mixture of fear and reverence, as if speaking their name could summon their malevolent presence. Deeply rooted in the traditions and taboos of Navajo culture, these witches are more than just figments of folklore. According to some, they are a chilling reality, their existence a constant reminder of the delicate balance between the spiritual and physical worlds. Their dark power looms over the land like an ominous cloud, leaving behind a lingering sense of unease in those who dare to speak of them. Unlike the playful and mischievous shapeshifters of European folklore, skinwalkers are sinister and malevolent beings. They embody pure evil, their power derived from dark rituals and forbidden knowledge that has been passed down through generations. It is said that they are masters of Yi Naad Lushi, a powerful and dangerous form of witchcraft that grants them the ability to transform into animals, specifically those with whom they share a deep spiritual connection. Their presence radiates a sense of dread and danger, striking fear into the hearts of those who encounter them. The rumored transformation is said to be gruesome, a horrid violation of the natural order that twists the witch's humanity into something monstrous. Legends speak of them taking on the form of a coyote, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly intelligence, or a bear, its massive claws oozing with venomous saliva. But no matter what form they take, their intentions are always malevolent, fueled by a dark and twisted desire for harm and chaos. The very thought of encountering a skinwalker sends shivers down the spine and makes the skin crawl. The skinwalkers, dark and menacing creatures, are driven by deep-seated envy of those who possess what they do not, power. They are ruthless predators, preying on the weak and innocent, using their supernatural abilities to spread disease, misfortune, and ultimately death. With their powers of mimicry, they can imitate human voices and lure unsuspecting victims to isolated locations where they strike without fear of being caught. Those who have encountered them speak of an overwhelming sense of dread that fills the air when a skinwalker is near, as if evil itself has taken physical form. The Navajo or Diné people held a deep-seated reluctance to speak of skinwalkers to outsiders. Their very name was spoken in hushed tones for fear of attracting their attention and incurring their malevolent wrath. Despite this caution, tales of their dark deeds persisted through the generations, passed down as cautionary legends and a means of preserving cultural knowledge. These stories served as a stark reminder of the sacred traditions that governed their world and emphasized the utmost respect for them. On a dark and daring night, a group of reckless Navajo teenagers set out on an unimaginable journey. In their hearts, they held both fearless bravery and foolish curiosity as they headed towards the remote canyon known to be a skinwalker's lair. Their laughter echoed through the stillness of the desert, carrying with it a sense of youthful impulsiveness. As they ventured deeper into the canyon, the air seemed to grow heavy with an unexplainable tension, as if a storm were brewing in the distance. Shadows crept and slithered around them, twisting and contorting into menacing shapes. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream tore through the silence of the night, shattering any sense of security they may have had. With horror-filled eyes, they watched as one of their own was dragged into the darkness by a monstrous creature that resembled a massive coyote, its fiery gaze burning with malice. The remaining teenagers fled in terror, their once bold steps now faltering with fear and their minds forever imprinted by this encounter with the terrifying legend of the Skinwalker. The ominous legend of the Skinwalker serves as a chilling reminder that some forces are best left undisturbed, that tampering with the delicate balance of the natural world can have dire consequences. Its haunting tale has been whispered through generations, passed down from the ancient ones who first encountered its terrifying presence. The mere mention of its name sends shivers down the spine and conjures images of shape-shifting creatures prowling under the cover of darkness. It is a testament to the enduring power of belief, a reminder that even in our modern world, there are still mysteries that defy rational explanation and leave us questioning our own reality.
And thank you to Steve Stockton for another great story. If you want more just like that, we are going to go and allow you to know where his YouTube channel is, because we're nice that way. Go to youtube.com/Tales Untold. It's right there. It is right there. Let's get to the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
We are going to do something different for the UFO report tonight. I'm asking one question from our audience, and this is for our audience. If you ever want to participate in this show, you got to go over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/spaced out radio, because we have an entire large audience there. We do. We have a bunch of people there. And the question today that I'm going to ask the audience is, what does UFO disclosure mean to you? See, to me, and I've said it pretty much, but I've never really talked about it. I've had my own personal UFO disclosure. I've seen a bunch, had interactions, seen a couple of landings, had some ET interaction. I know they're real. You don't have to believe me or my stories. Frankly, don't care, because I know what I saw. and I know what I've experienced. And the majority of time I've experienced it with other people who've had the same experience. Disclosure hits everybody differently. The main crowd that is out there right now are the ones who are pro-government disclosure, which they hold out hope that there is going to be some sort of answer, especially from the U.S. government, regarding aliens, which they call, let's use all the politically correct terms on this, NHI, or non-human intelligence, aka aliens, that are here. They want to know about crash retrievals, the threat narrative that we have heard for the last 7 years, which I don't buy. And that's why I've said many a times, to me, disclosure is tell us everything. Tell us everything. Stop beating around the bush. For instance, we just celebrated Roswell's anniversary and World UFO Day back on July 2nd. People want to know. People believe it's out there. The majority of people in North America believe UFOs and aliens are real. Why not tell us? You can still do that without giving up your juice, without having to say that there's an entire threat out there. Yeah. But for me, disclosure is very personal because I've seen things that I can't explain. And I'm not just talking little dots in the sky. I'm talking real craft, real low, 2 on the ground. It's pretty intense. And for a lot of our listeners, they've had that experience too. So I don't believe in the government disclosure side of things because that means they're hiding something. I don't want any more hidden secrets. And this is why I don't believe that disclosure is coming. The only way we get true disclosure is if the aliens knock on the door. Start off with Joe. I know aliens are here. They always have been. The only thing disclosure means to me is that maybe some of the people that laugh at UFOs will get a little knowledge. Joe's a smart guy. University educated. Former geologist. Fantastic hair. And an ET contactee/abductee, even though he doesn't admit to it. Now, there's a person who has thought through the entire answer. Yeah, there's a lot of laughter and conjecture around this subject, a lot of eye rolling. I had a good conversation today with one of the First Nations elders around here. And he says he's been summoned by UFOs. When he goes outside, he looks up, they're about 50 feet above his house. Rows of green lights circling around. For Joe, it's been a constant annoyance trying to figure out what's happening to him. That's why he sits in the mountains of California, in the Sierra Nevadas, with his beautiful dog Lola. The official guard dog of SOR, by the way. And waits for something to happen. Because he knows it's going to happen. He just doesn't know when. But once again, disclosure is personal. But we have this insatiable fact as humans that we want people to believe us. We want those skeptics who don't believe in this or think it's a bunch of garbage. For some reason, we yearn for them to believe what we are telling them. Tim Mothman and his goatee, 2 separate entities, by the way, states, I have my own disclosure. Seen enough of those crazy ships flying around. See, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. Why doesn't he need it? Well, that's because he believes what he's seen. And yes, there are going to be the people out there that say, well, how do we know what you saw? How do you know what you saw? It's just a story. Just a story. True. It may be just a story. But you know what? That's part of Tim's path. It's part of his life. It's what happened to him. And we don't have to believe it. But what's wrong with believing it? If you're one of the skeptics out there who's tuned us in and your eye rolling at everything that I say right now because it's bugging you, and the people who get bugged by this, they are always about raising their voice, stomping their feet, pressing their gas pedal a little bit more. I look at you guys and I say, what if it were true? How would you react if it were true? And what's wrong with it being true? Not everybody's wrong. I can tell you right now, Joe and Tim Mothman, they've never met. I know that for a fact. Yet they've both seen crazy things flying around in the sky. Tim is over by San Francisco. Joe's in the Sierra Nevadas. Yet they've seen different lights in the sky. Alien Believer states, I've always believed since maybe she got abducted. She never got to finish her sentence. But she's a believer. Oh, there's the second part. Since she was 18 and now has seen 60. Now 60 and seen a spaceship. Wow. That's a full life of UFO contact. And for the skeptics out there, I do want to say this. The majority, not all, but the majority of people who have seen UFOs, okay, you may not believe this, but they know what Venus looks like. They know what Jupiter looks like. They know what Mars looks like. They know what Saturn looks like. They even know what the moon looks like. They know what Starlink looks like. They know what the International Space Station looks like. They know what it looks like when one of Elon Musk's SpaceX rockets is flying through the sky. They know what an airplane looks like. They know that there's red and green lights on the side. They know that. They've already thought about that. See, the one thing that pisses me off about skeptics is they ask the basic questions like, we don't know. Like, when I'm out looking for Bigfoot, and I'll get skeptical people come up to me when I say, yeah, I've seen Bigfoot. I've had those experiences. They'll say, well, how do you know it was not a bear? Because I know what a bear looks like. I know what a bear looks like walking on two legs. This looked completely different. I know a bear has a neck. The Sasquatch I've seen don't have a neck. It's all shoulders and head. Well, what about the footprints? Probably just somebody out there with a fake wooden cutout or something. Yeah, because somebody is going to waste their time to go on a desolate trail 25, 30 miles out in the distance to put one track. That makes sense, doesn't it? The skeptics always think that we haven't thought about that we're not skeptical enough, that all we want to do is believe, believe, believe. Trust me, when I see things that are odd, I am not believing them right off the bat. I'm not. I am trying to figure out a logical answer for what is going on. Logic is usually works, something that works. Guess what? I know we don't have a lot of it recently in society, but common sense works as well. Let's move on. Here's what Simon says. Simon says, touch your nose. Simon says, close your eyes. Anyways, Simon says, disclosure may bring no more worry about money, resources, war, poverty, pollution, hacked passwords, human problems. We'll see. Maybe in a while. Now, my opinion of this, and once again, my opinion, and Simon, I don't want to disagree with you because what you say is pretty nice. But I think one of the reasons why they're holding off on true disclosure is because they are worried about those things. They are worried about what's going to happen to the economy and money. They're worried about what's going to happen to resources because that's a lot of employment and billions upon billions of dollars invested in every country. They are worried about war because there's a lot of people out there who believe that anything that comes from the sky is evil and demonic. And look what happened back in the 60s when all of the nuclear facilities were being turned on in North Dakota and missiles prepped to launch by these UFOs. And the Americans thought it was the Russians. And it was happening over in Russia too. And they had to make a quick phone call saying, this isn't us, guys. And the Russians said, well, this isn't not us. What a horrible Russian accent that was. Pollution? Well, we'll see about that. We'll see about that. Passwords? Excuse me. I think you're going to see a lot more of that. I think people are going to panic. Not trying to stir up fear, but people panic. We're good at that. Christine is saying, disclosure will unite us all. Positive outcome only. That is my fantasy. And a beautiful fantasy it is. I wish I could have your positivity. But I, once again, as you just heard me say, I am in the camp that I do not believe disclosure is a healthy thing. Full disclosure. Do I want it? Hell yeah. Do I want to know what happened at Roswell? Oh yeah. Do I want to know what happened at Shag Harbor? Mm-hmm. Do I want to know what happened with Stephen Mikulik at Falcon Lake? Sure do. I want to know what's going on around the volcanoes of West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington. I want to know what I've seen on a selfish level. But I don't think that there's anything positive about this in the big end. Remember, we still have a military-industrial complex that controls everything we do, and the toys we get to play with. Let's get to one more here. Paramarv states, disclosure means knowledge to get beyond some of the challenges we are having, energy generation, and hopefully understanding that we humans can and should be better to each other. Isn't that beautiful? Well said, Paramarv. Well said. I would like to see that happen too. I really would. But if you look at the race that we are seeing right now for this disclosure for dollars movement, with all these groups, companies vying for money behind the scenes, it's just real downtrodden on what may happen. Final half hour of the UFO Report on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up right after this. Stay tuned.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
Really weird. All of a sudden, there's like a smell of soup in my studio. Now, my kitchen is on the other side of my house. at SORHQ here. Weird. Weird. Now it's gone. Now it's gone. I hope you're enjoying this. Hope you're enjoying this. Let's see what's going on in the chat room. Hello, Zochito Paez Richards. Flat 6, how you doing? Robert Anthony. What's happening? Hi, Tokeland. Dark Starry Sky. Hey, neighbor. Where have you been hiding? Haven't seen you in a couple weeks. Double a day, Clemens. How you doing? Sasquatch Gee. Cowboys 5 rings. Dak Prescott no rings. Warden Dragon, how are you? Lil Cam over on Twitch. He did 62 crunchies in 7 seconds to warm up for being late for this show tonight. 62 crunchies. And Joanne, how are you? I think I'm going to have a bowl of Lucky Charms after this. Got about a minute here. Thank you to W. Decker, Cosmic Joe for the super chats. Greatly appreciate it. We can work on something like that, Pixie Lara. Just remind me, my friend. 8 seconds. Maybe 11. Like 7. All right, let's wrap this thing up tonight. Final half hour, Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. It's a UFO report. What does UFO disclosure mean to you? If you're in our YouTube audience, we will get to your comments here momentarily. But first, let us say hello, hello, hello to all of you tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. We're on every major podcast network as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. What does UFO disclosure mean to you? Let's start off with Vanessa. You've got to be in our YouTube chat in order to get this across. Come join us. If you're listening on the radio, come join us sometime. We'd love to say hello to you. She feels disclosure is a catchphrase now. Tired rhetoric, something too long waited that will not come in the form that will satisfy. I think that's a perfect answer. J Truth Seeker. ET humans and other ETs can just as easily disclose themselves to Earth as any other. True. They choose not to, though. Don't know why. They choose not to. Maybe it's because they're not allowed. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. Christine says, disclosure means everyone in the world witnesses a UFO or alien and have given humans the knowledge that there is nothing to fear. Except for those pesky gray aliens that decide to take you in the middle of the night and do weird things to your buttocks. Doesn't feel very peaceful. Nope. Who's next here? Let's say, scroll on down. Kurt M. UFO disclosure? Pointless. If all world's governments have been complicit in this and the crimes they have committed to keep it a secret. Hugely correct. Hugely correct. We got to think about this one for a second. Let me tell you why. Had to use the cough button there for a sec. Let me tell you why. I think one of the biggest reasons why the U.S. is being so secretive of this, because it all does come down to the United States. Let's just be honest. But I think they are concerned about the lawsuits and what this does to the public and the public's elected officials. That's what I think. I think they're worried about that. I think it's a good point, Kurt. Skip to Malou over in Europe. Love it. Disclosure means no more mock. Oh, they'll still make fun of us. Believe you me, they'll still make fun of us. Sandra says, to me, it means finally getting the real truth and seeing it. And yes, we want that. But do we really want disclosure? Do we really want it? You may want it and I may want it, but it might be different things that we want. You know, it's kind of that old cartoon that's out there. You can find it on YouTube. It is whether or not, I should say, it is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. But there's a reality to it. And it was over the coyote versus the roadrunner. But in this cartoon, that's obviously a spoof on the Warner Brothers cartoon. Coyote actually gets the Roadrunner. He actually finishes off the Roadrunner and then takes him home and cooks him and eats him. And then all of a sudden, Coyote's like, well, what now? What do I do now? And he starts getting lazy, and he's wearing a robe, and he's unshaven, getting fat, because the thrill is over. He got the Roadrunner. And how does that pertain, pardon me, to UFOs? The mystery will be over. It'll cause a bunch of new questions, of course. Like, hey, Mr. E.T., can I go on your ship and can we go to Saturn today? I got a school project on Mars, and I'd like to see the view of Saturn from Mars. I'd like to take a photo. Do things like that happen? I don't know. But are we ready for the truth? You can't handle the truth. I don't know, can we? Ultimate question. I like Poncho Zort's comment. I don't roll my eyes any longer. I shake my head and say, I told you so a lot now. Love it. Doubleday. When aliens communicate with the general population without interference from the government, that will be a new day. Question is, Doubleday, will the public be able to handle it? That's the scary part. And I don't believe they can. You can disagree with me all you want. I don't believe the public is ready. I think we have to get rid of a lot of generations before we get to that. See, we look at this from a North American and more so an American standpoint. We don't know what's going to happen with Christians around the world. We don't know what's going to happen with Buddhists around the world, with Muslims around the world, with Roman Catholics around the world, with Vishnu followers around the world, Hindu followers, Brahma followers, or any of the other 4,992 gods that people follow on this planet. That's not a shot at religion. Please don't take it that way, because we always have to emphasize these days what is a shot and what isn't. That's not a shot. It's common sense. We have to be able to, to understand that there are a lot of people who are petrified of this subject. The majority of people on this planet are petrified. When you get movies like Independence Day, where everybody's cheering on the good aliens, and look what happens. The bad ones show up. We don't know who's knocking at the door. They won't tell us. We don't know. Sasquatch Gee says, I've seen a lot here in Calgary. They just play for the Calgary Flames, by the way. But seen a lot more through life since childhood. Disclosure enough for me. I know what I see. Oh, pardon me. I know I see what I see. Love that answer. Except for the part where you're a Flames fan. Why is his answer important? Because he's not looking to the government in order to get his answer. What he's doing is he's seeking out his own truth. Tokeland says, Dave, it was in the sky, maybe 1,500 feet above the ground, a couple miles away, probably. Silver Tic Tac, Steamboat Island, Olympia, Washington, 1996, 4 p.m. Clear or semi-cloudy sky, 3-second sight. Imagine if you've never seen anything, and 3 seconds is really a blip on the radar. But that 3 seconds changed Tokeland's life. Changed it. 3 seconds. Changed his life. What if that 3 seconds happened to you? How would you react? Do you think it would change your life? Cosmic Joe is saying, disclosure means I finally get my memory back on what I experienced and know how I actually fit into this universe. Joe, I think a lot of us are like that. We're not going to be the weirdos anymore when it happens, my man. I'm going to miss the days of being a weirdo once disclosure happens. Let's go to Race Fan. Does Bigfoot doo-doo in the woods, or does he use the vault toilets that are out in the middle of... What are you talking about? Dude, we're talking about UFOs here, not Bigfoot dropping a deuce. This is why I love my fans. You never know what you're going to get when you read the questions cold. Lil Cam over on Twitch, who literally did 222 push-ups in 58 seconds to warm up for this show. Disclosure is knowing it existed the entire time. The 99% exists for a reason. That's right, my man. That's right. Keep those arms pumped up. Christine, do I think it'll happen? Nope. Good answer. Plain simple, cut to the point right there. Good answer. Let's go to Human Carl here, not to be misconstrued with Alien Carl. Human Carl is a great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service, Human Carl. We love you around here. Full disclosure is all governments coming completely clean of all aspects of the phenomenon. That will never occur. There are many other things occurring in the world of greater importance. I agree 100% with you, Human Carl. 100%. As long as they can bury this story, it's a good thing for them, probably for us, and the rest of humanity. Look, I do see a day, and I mentioned this earlier and never really finished my thought. I think they need a couple more generations to die off before they can start making inroads on breaking the news to people that UFOs and alien encounters are real. Why? Number of reasons. Number one, many of the elderly people out there are still quite religious. Number two, many of the people in charge of the governments today are more about keeping secrets than being open and transparent. Number three, we got to figure out this bloody military-industrial complex first before getting into the juice of UFOs. Just a few pieces right there to the puzzle. J Truth Seeker. Disclosure will likely eventually bring us long lifespans into a few hundred years. Space travel, like on Star Trek. Human ET girlfriends. Do we have to be monogamous? Eternal youth and better health, painless medical, etc. JT, let's hope that all that stuff comes with it. Let's hope. And it all starts with do, 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 do. Say it with me, everybody. It's going to put this in your head for the rest of the night. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Yeah, now the aliens are coming. If you heard that, the aliens are coming. I love this answer, J Truth Seeker. You know, unfortunately, I think the majority of us are going to miss that lifelong span, but I look forward to my kids getting that longer life. We get ripped off as humans. We really do. Never mind accidents or anything, but with the amount of disease out there, the byproducts they're putting in our food, the cost of food, the cost of living, the way they've jacked it up so badly out of greed. And I'm saying that as a capitalist. I will say this. I think our kids' generation will be better off once we get rid of some of the old hat out there. And hopefully there comes a day when our kids or our grandkids, they're going to have that almost biblical 150 to 300 year lifespan, because we get ripped off here. We do. And I like this living thing. Not looking forward to the whole death process. I'm going to be honest with you. It'll suck. It'll suck real bad. Bomber is asking, who will be going live? Well, okay, once again, that's not a question that is pertaining to tonight. Let's see here. Do we have any more? Let's go back to J Truthseeker. If we have disclosure, then we can finally get the cure for the messed up emotional aggression gene and aging genes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I love being 51 years old with neon white hair. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Could you imagine if I dyed my hair color? I mean, I think it's there's a question for you. Is it okay to dye the beard and mustache if you leave the hair the same? I know people who do that. I don't know. Let's go to Pixie Lara. I do not believe in disclosure. What most really want is admittance and accountability without non-human intelligence intervention, aka alien intervention. I don't have much faith in the idea. Sorry. I can't even argue that point. I cannot argue that point. Why? Because she said it all right there. This is an educated person. Lots of post-secondary education in Pixie Lara. Very, very brilliant woman. Great person. Makes a nice toque as well. I'd wear it, but it's too hot. But literally, guys, when we think about it, that's all we're getting. Admittance and confirmation. Yeehaw. Chris with a K says, do we really need government disclosure? We all know what we have witnessed and experienced. I would take the word of an experiencer well before the government. Me too. Look, here's one thing that the skeptics don't understand about us experiencers. We know when somebody around us is telling a fable or not. We know. Not just because it may be different from what we've experienced, but those who exaggerate the stories always get this sense of excitement, and their story always changes the more they tell it publicly. It may take a couple of months to figure it out, but we know. Experiencers can tell experiencers from those who aren't, and from those who are just making it up. And if you're an experiencer out there, you'll know what I'm talking about. I agree with you. Data says a presidential confirmation announcement, declaration of the end of the cover-up mission, and an end to unwarranted secrecy would be a nice start. Sure it would. Sure it would. Anything would be a nice start. But do we really want it? Like, what are you going to do? I ask this question again. If they come out with UFO and ET disclosure, what are you going to do next? Is that when you head down to the sports store, pick up a set of golf clubs or a new fishing rod, and start your new hobby? Starfish Troopers podcast. Hello. Welcome to the show. Disclosure is meaningless when the other don't engage in it. Bingo. Another great strong comment. Why? Because they don't want us to know. They want all the secrets and all the toys for themselves. Imagine the technology they are hiding. Pat Monahan, I don't agree with the kids being better off. There's polls that support that, sadly. Well, first they have to learn independent thinking. Then they got to learn common sense, because that's been thrown out the window the last few years. And we go from there. What a great show tonight. Absolute. I love audience participation. Let's get to two more. Bombers saying the aliens aren't going to wait for government to disclose anything. They're just going to show up publicly and be the disclosure themselves. Maybe, maybe not. What if there's rules in place that they can't? Think about that one. Final one, J Truth Seeker. You know, this chat group and Spaced Out Radio could all plan on meeting up with our ET friends once a telepathy with them is established. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's bring on them aliens telepathically. Let's see where they are. Let's find some Bigfoot, too. Hey, I want to say thank you to all of our audience members in our chat room on YouTube for going through what you think disclosure means to you. We might do this again. There's a good chance we're going to do this again. That was a lot of fun for me. I don't get a lot of fun around here. Very strict and curt with what I do. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. It's a good show. Good show. Send that. Let's do this. Let's hold that there. Go here. Let's download this. Pardon me, upload this. I always get upload and download confused. Do you get confused by that too? I'm going to be real quick here because, I really want that bowl of cereal. If my son left me any. Which, knowing him, he probably did not. It's like an almost full box the other day. But she didn't leave me any. Jerk. I'm just going to call him it right now. Jerk. By the way, if you haven't already, we have dedicated a brand new Spaced Out Radio page on Facebook, trying to figure out getting our shows back on Facebook. We had them on there recently, but in typical Facebook fashion, let's fix what isn't broken. And we can't broadcast on Facebook right now. We're trying to get there, but it just doesn't work. Just doesn't work right now. Doesn't work. Does not work. Oh. Nope, doesn't work. Copy. You can get, yeah, I heard about you could get the Lucky Charms and all marshmallow version. This box of Lucky Charms that my son has, they've tripled down on the marshmallows. God, I remember when I was a kid, you were lucky in every bowl to maybe get 10 or 15. Now you get like 45, 50 marshmallows. It's a beautiful thing. Somebody at Lucky Charms is doing it right. I don't care if it's bad for you. Lucky Charms are awesome. What is your favorite cereal, by the way? I'm a Fruit Loops guy until they changed the coating. A few years ago, they changed the coating up here on Fruit Loops, and they literally taste like you're eating like round wood now. They cut up your mouth. Oh, I haven't had Captain Crunch in a long time. Oh, I love Captain Crunch. I used to be a really big time Raisin Bran guy. Quaker Oats, Ward Dragon, how old are you? Do you sit down for breakfast with Wilfred Brimley? Talk about the diabetes? Use that in funny text. Don't take that seriously. We're just having fun here. Oh, where is this? Start now thing. There it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. Grape nuts. I could see Christine eating her grape nuts every morning. God. I remember those grape nuts commercials too. My friends and I used to run around calling each other grape nuts after that, because that's boy humor from the 1980s. Frosted Flakes, they're good. They're good. I also like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Cinnamon Toast Crunch tastes really good. Yeah, Raisin Bran they changed too. Sugar Puffs. Oh yes, remember you used to get the big bag, like the like 3-foot bag of Sugar Puffs, or was that Sugar Puff? No, that was like the wheat ones. Did you guys ever have those? Big bag of like, what the hell were they called? Big bag of wheat cereal. Puff wheat. That's right, puff wheat. Did you guys ever eat puff wheat? You get those big bags that, and you're like 5 years old and the bag is taller than you. Those were awesome. It's the good old days right there. You'd have to pour like 14 pounds of sugar on them per sitting in order for them to give them any flavor. But the milky sugar water tasted so good afterwards. Mm-hmm. That was good stuff. Is that the end of that? Cool. Fruity Pebbles, Tut 25. Good call. Very good call. Bomber coffee flavored puffs. Do you remember that? I don't remember that. I don't remember that one. I've never been a coffee fan. How many of you guys, let's be honest, okay? How many of you guys remember your parents having the orange can of Sanka coffee on the counter? The instant coffee, just in case some friends drop by on the evening. And then they would sit down at the kitchen table, drink their Sanka, smoke a few cigarettes, and it usually, the cards always came out. Whether it was like a game of canasta, or whether it was a game of cribbage, or rummy, or whatever it may be. Sometimes, if they stayed a little longer, the backgammon would come out. You guys remember that? Oh, yeah. Oh, Poncho's. I know Sandra Kincaid loves a good can of, or a cup of Sanka. She told me when we were going over my CPAP. She's like, "Oh, would I love a glass of Sanka right now?" Let's see. Poncho Zorts has always been a Folgers guy. Same as Christine. Oh, you had the coffee cups with the disposable inside. I remember those. Uh-huh. Oh, for God's sakes. My recycle bin keeps shrinking. I don't know why. Scrabble. Dominoes, yeah, dominoes. That's right, Tim Othman. I remember the Sanka and us kids got Tang. Oh, remember Tang? There was always that one kid in the group that the minute they drank Tang, they were literally bouncing off the walls, making all sounds of cornholio. You know? Oh, yeah. Or Hawaiian Punch. I remember my mom bringing back loads and loads of Hawaiian Punch when she went shopping. Remember the little baggies are about that big? I know you can still get them. That's right, Matt Geek. Pre-entertainment. Sanka, pre-internet entertainment. Sanka and cards. Oh, yeah. Remember if you were the only kid there, you'd be like, can I play? Can I play? Can I play? Your parents would be, get out of here. Get out of here. This is for the adults. But I just want to play. Just one. Let me try one. You can watch, but you can't play. It'd be like 11:15. And you're just trying to stretch out that time before you go to bed as long as you can. Game of life. I never got the good jobs on that one. Ever. Ever. Oh, that's right, Flat Six, Dave. We've secretly exchanged your regular evening water with Folgers crystals. That's funny. Because you know the best part about waking up is Folgers in your cup. Oh, listen. It's going to happen again. Still going. Still going. And in about 5-6 minutes, we should hear the sirens. I really hope it isn't a fire. I don't think it'll be a fire. Grass is still pretty green here. So that's the siren that before pagers, they used to bring in the volunteer firefighters to come on in. And I live about 400 or 500 yards from the fire hall. Maybe 400. It's par 4. If I lay up at the, see if I were to drive from my driveway, put it into the schoolyard. Say if I drive at 250 yards, could 7-iron it to the hall. Yeah, be lying too. I remember when I moved up here, our realtor didn't tell us about that siren, and we got woken up at 5:30 in the morning. I haven't heard from Rob G. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure if he's on holidays. I've had a pretty rough 2 weeks. My memory isn't very good right now. I've had a rough couple of weeks due to ownership change at my daytime job. Hi, Captain K-Rod. Captain K-Rod. I think he said he was going on a holiday. I don't recall. What is up there? Dark, starry sky. Oh yeah, we got fans. Don't have AC in my house, but I have like a portable AC. It's not hot enough for that yet. You know, Captain K-Rod, I don't Captain K-Rod just anybody. A nice thank you would be nice. Just saying. On that note, I'm out of here. Jim Harold from Jim Harold Paranormal Podcast tomorrow night. Get into some nice haunting stories. Thank you to W. Decker and Joe for the super chats. If you're new here, thank you for hitting subscribe. And just like that, I'm out.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.